Hi everyone, welcome to Pound Zero. My name is Amelia and this is my weight loss journey. So this week wasn't a bad week, it wasn't a great week. I seem to say that quite a lot. In terms of my indiscretions this week, there were a couple. At the beginning of the week, through most of the week, I was on a pretty good wicket. I was eating well. I wasn't splurging on the chubbed or anything else for that matter. Although later on in the week, I did find myself being corrupted, particularly by Brodburger. The offer was put on the table. I accepted. And then I got chips to go with it. I don't know why I get the chips though. You don't need them. Those burgers are massive. From there, it was a little bit of a downhill slope, so my weight fluctuated. It went up quite significantly, and then I'm like, ah! So it came back down. I'm not going to say indiscretions. What do we have? I'm trying to think now. Because in terms of exercise, it really fell off the wagon. I did take the stairs a couple of times this week. Other times I completely forgot. Midweek I wasn't feeling so great, and one morning I actually woke up with a screaming headache, back pain, and my sciatica had kicked in as well. So I just decided that I was just going to survive that day and did virtually nothing, sat very still for most of the day, which is probably the worst thing I could have done. And I think that was the day that I kind of realized that I was not doing everything I could or everything that I should be doing. I'd really lost motivation. I wasn't feeling terribly happy with where I am in life. I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy just existing. So I had a little existential crisis one day. I'm like, what am I doing? So I've decided I'm changing things up. I'm kicking myself up the backside, giving myself reinvigorated approach to my weight loss journey. And with that, I will start with stepping on the scales for this week. At the beginning of the year, when I started my weight loss journey 28 weeks ago, I can't believe it's been 28 weeks. We're halfway through the year, people. I started at 120 kilos or 264.5 pounds. Last week when I weighed in at 109.4 kilos or 241.5 pounds. And this week, after eating well, then getting corrupted, then freaking out and doing what I could to lose the weight that I just put on, I weighed in at 109.2 kilos or 240.7 pounds. So that is a grand loss this week of 200 grams or 0.44 pounds. And overall this year, that is a grand total loss of 10.8 kilos or 23.8 pounds. So what am I going to do to reinvigorate my weight loss journey and try to get me a little more motivated? My biggest concern is not having the proper routines in place by the time summer rocks around. I know my sleeping patterns are all over the place, and that's not great either, so I really need to get on top of getting to bed at a decent hour, And of course, not oversleeping, because oversleeping is equally as detrimental to weight loss as not getting enough sleep. So I have rejigged my exercise plan, and I'm going to make a very concerted effort to get up in the wee hours in the morning to actually do my exercises before getting ready to work. Of course, this is extremely difficult at the moment, considering every morning I wake up, it is in the minus of degrees. And I fight the doona. No, I don't. I relent to the doona most mornings at this point. I really need to get up and actually do something. I'm not doing enough. Start taking the stairs more often. On the plus side, I've been getting to work a little bit late, so I've had to park all the way down the bottom of the car park anyway and walk up. So that at least gets me, half a K every day, walking up to work and walking back to the car. But it's not enough. I need to do more, particularly if I'm going to get rid of the flabby bits. And that's what this is about, just getting rid of the flabby bits. So I have rejigged my exercise plan. It is a little bit more simple, but more intense. It's the time. The time factor is my biggest hurdle and my biggest disincentive to do stuff. I know that within myself, so I need to push through that. But I figure if I can have shorter but more intense workouts, at least I'll start setting habits. So what am I going to do with my diet? Because clearly I'm easily corrupted. So over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be partaking in a diet that has been highly recommended by one of my friends and subscribers, the Ketogenic Diet. I've been doing quite a bit of research, considering this is a high-fat, low-carb diet that is just supposed to shred weight off you, apparently. The Ketogenic Diet is a high-fat, adequate protein, low-carb diet that was initially designed to treat refractory epilepsy in children. It was then found to have great weight loss side effects. This diet forces the body to burn fats rather than carbs, which is good, I think. Yeah. Normally the carbs contained in food are converted into glucose, which is then transported around the body via the blood. And carbs are particularly important in brain function. So it's not something that you can cut out completely, otherwise you'll just become a potato, which is full of carbs. Bad example. When there are very little carbohydrates in the diet, the liver converts fat into the essential fatty acids and ketone bodies. The ketone bodies pass into the brain and replace the glucose as an energy source. So you're not going to turn into that potato. Which is a good thing. Good thing. No one wants to be a potato. One of the best parts about this diet is that there is a lot of information, calculators, and general chat rooms, guidance, all the rest of it you can find just generally online. It's not one of these diets that you need to pay squillions of dollars to a particular person and they're going to drip feed you information so you can follow the diet. You can actually find it, calculate it yourself, and just crack on. So obviously doing this diet, I put myself through the little calculator. And of course, if you're interested in the calculator, I've put a link in the description below, along with the Wikipedia link to the Ketogenic Diet and a couple of other web pages that may be interested if you just want to read up on it. All courtesy of Nikita. Thank you very much, darling. So putting myself through the calculator, first thing I had to calculate was the Kcal base metabolic rate. This is said to resemble the resting metabolic rate for my person. Now, based on my age and my measurements, my Kcal base metabolic rate came out at 1,894. Then the calculator goes on to account for your daily energy expenditure. I am reading my notes, which is why I'm looking down. And this generally relates to how active you are during the day. Now, of course, as I've said before, I am in quite a sedentary desk job. While I do try to get a bit of exercise, it's not a huge amount of exercise. So put myself down as light active, even though I am in a desk job sitting for long periods. And this calculated my daily energy expenditure to be 2,333 kcal. Then it is a very long web page, a very long calculator. Then it calculates your body fat percentage based on your height and weight. Now, of course, this is a very iffy percentage rate, as it's only just taking the measurements that you've given it. So it uses the word might a lot of the time. And using just the information I plugged into the calculator, it calculated my body fat percentage to be 42%. But this is why we're on a weight loss journey. Now, of course, this is a might percentage rate. There are ways to get far more accurate percentage rates with a DEXA calculation or a skin fold caliper pinchy test, which will be far more accurate than anything you could plug into an online calculator. But it just gives you an idea and probably a bit of a scare to get you motivated with anything else. The calculator then calculated how much carb I should have in my daily intake, which came out at 25 grams, not a great deal at all. And of course that will change, that will adjust as all my measurements change over the course of the diet. Not sure how much that will actually be over the course of 2 weeks, but you never know. We'll see what happens. I could make this longer if we do well. And of course it is something that can be done longer. You don't have to be restricted to a fortnight. I just want to see how it works and how easy it is to maintain and sustain. Having such a short attention span, 2 weeks will pretty much tell me whether I could follow it longer term or not. So the calculator, back to the calculator. The calculator will then calculate how much protein you need to eat, what your caloric intake needs to be, and it will also forecast your weight loss over the course of a year, which is a little bit of fun and kind of gives you a goal to aim towards, I suppose. But at the same time, like with any diet, you can fall off the wagon, and doing so will slow down your process. Duh. But don't get disheartened and don't freak out, especially with this type of diet, because you are changing how your body processes food to a small degree. So falling off the wagon means that you will need to start over and kickstart your body into that process again. But that's not a problem. Just do it. Just get back on the wagon. Acknowledge that you had an indiscretion and keep going. Otherwise, you're going to do yourself more harm than good. The calculator I was talking about before also gives you the option of actually downloading a CSV file for the data geeks. And this basically just gives you a spreadsheet of all the calculations that you've plugged in and your projections over the course of the year. So look forward to that. I will, of course, be loading photos and videos and whatnot to Twitter and Instagram as I go through these next couple of weeks. It's a little bit exciting, a little bit different. I've done up a whole food plan, which, is currently scribbled here. Not that you could really see it much. That's it for today's video. If you like what you've seen today, please hit the subscribe button on your way out. Of course, in the description below are links to my Instagram and Twitter page, in which I post up anything that I find motivational or helpful or just generally funny that I find while on my weight loss journey. So feel free to follow me there as well. And until next time, be healthy and be good to each other. Bye. Mush. Fuck. I hit record and I'm not ready. Here we go. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. So at the beginning of the year, last week when I weighed in at 104. So oh man, there's a lot of sighing in this video. Yeah. All that fun stuff. So over the course of the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be I'm really not feeling the love today. I'm really not. That was primarily to treat refractory epilepsy. It was then found to have great. So the calculator then calculated how much carb I can eat in my diary. We'll also give you the option to download a CSV file, or we pay people to just send us pre-made food. Why do I look so washed out and atrocious today? It's just, I don't know.